Hey folks, my name is Jürgen, aka Nerd and Proud of It, and Destiny has brought you to my channel today to enjoy a talk between Louie from Kitchen Table TCG and myself. Hey Louie, it's good to have you on the channel today.
And it's an honor. I'm excited.
An honor, yeah, it's my honor, but that's definitely a highlight of my day that you took the time to get on the channel and to talk to me. I just asked you in the small chat we had before I started the recording. Why did you? The first thing I asked you, hey, do you want to come on the channel when I have a chat? And the first thing you said was like, yes, of course, let's do it. That's the energy I like. I really love that. How
Easy.
is? Yeah, I
I
think it's very cool.
I love talking about trading card games. I started my channel because my wife. It was in the middle of the pandemic, and I wanted to talk to people about trading card games, and it was just me and my wife in the house. And I needed to do something else because she did not want to talk to me about card games. So I love talking about card games. I would talk anybody's ear off about card games. It is an honor to have the opportunity to chat about card games at noon for me. I don't know what time it is out there, but for noon for me on a Monday, I get to hang out and chat about card games. That's pretty awesome. That's a good life. So
That that sounds very cool. I mean, it's 1800 here, so it's still okay. The kids have to take care of dinner, and the wife is still at work. But yeah, that's how we roll here.
we'll be all right.
I had the opportunity to actually teach my son during the pandemic, but
Oh, cool.
I actually that was he's 12 now, so
Okay.
yeah, he was a
What's
little
your game?
younger then. It's great. My daughter doesn't want to have anything to do with Magic the Gathering. She's 15, but that's how it goes as well. She only was interested in the Stranger Things Secret Lair, but yeah,
Cool.
because she loves Stranger Things.
So will she
No,
play? Will she play? Do you do any Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that? Or
I tried, but they are not interested. Not both
okay,
of them are not interested. I got a lot of role playing stuff here. I even got it in Dutch, and yeah, my kids are being raised bilingual, like German and Dutch, because I'm originally from Germany, but I'm living in the Netherlands. But they are not interested in the English stuff, not interested in the Dutch stuff, but she was a little interested when they played during Stranger Things,
yeah,
yeah, the Stranger Things box came out,
yeah.
which was pretty nice.
Stranger Things is
I'm
really good stuff for the nerd community
yeah,
and opening it up to like acceptance everywhere. It was pretty cool.
I love that as well. Personally, it was really fun to watch it together with my daughter, and that's a rare thing nowadays that you can enjoy it across multiple yeah, age levels. So I had that with the early Marvel movies. We watched them together, all of us, and then the Stranger Things stuff, and yeah, some more shows. I think if you are able to do that, then you do a good thing. They did that well with the Dungeons and Dragons movie. That's one of the things Wizards of the Coast did well the last couple
Yeah,
of years, I
one
think.
of the few. One of the few.
One of the few. Hey, I wanted to ask you. I've been watching the channel pretty much since the beginning. I would say you said you started it during the pandemic. I think I started watching when you did the price updates for Flesh and Blood, and
Sure.
I got interested in that. And at a certain point, I was pretty fed up with Flesh and Blood, so I quit. Then took me a bit to get back to your channel, and now I pretty much watch it regularly. But hey, I even prepared questions, man. That's
Hey, listen, I just
especially for you.
I
But I'm
appreciate
really curious.
you doing it and sticking through the ups and downs of the channel history.
Yeah, but that's how it goes, right? You have ups, you have downs. Did your channel actually take off when you started the store? Because you obviously have Game Grove, the store, and do you think to have a successful store you need a strong social media presence nowadays? Otherwise, if you have a Magic the Gathering store or if you have a trading card game store, board game store, it is really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I think in 2024 there's so much competition in the trading card space now, whether that be online or locally, that you have to have something that is some form of leg up on your community. So, for us, the Kitchen Table TCG YouTube channel is huge because I already have an outreach online where people purchase stuff from me. It allows me to order more, get cheaper prices, order more. It allows me to have I already had a setup for selling singles. Because of the channel, I had, kind of honed that in and had already worked on that before opening the local store. So it allows me to buy more singles from local because I have a way of selling it. So the
Yeah, you were also really careful about your reputation during that time. I remember you talking about that a lot.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the YouTube channel opens up a lot of doors, but it's not just the YouTube channel either. I mean, we do. I post daily on Facebook and Instagram. I mean, 2 to 3 posts a day promoting our events, but then also, I take pictures of people in the store that just shows that people showed up to our events, and that kind of social media does really good to help the local side of things. And then we do like paid Facebook advertisements too. I mean, we do that kind of stuff for local targeting that we buy singles and that kind of stuff. So I think it needs to be a mix. Um, I would think you would be hard pressed in this day and age to start from fresh an LGS without any social media presence. Some of those stores that have 10, 15, 20-year histories of being in the community, they don't need to do that because they have the DNA is already in their culture and in their shops. But for those of us who have started recently, I think it's an absolute necessity.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the more visibility you get, it doesn't matter on which channel, if it's locally, if it's online, if it's broader, the better it is in general for the store. And yeah, I think it even accumulates next to each other, like the online presence and the store. Maybe you never know, because a lot of stuff from the YouTube videos comes from the store, and I really enjoy it. Especially, I think everybody is telling you that the guess the card, win the card
Yeah.
stuff. That's just awesome.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to know if we can get more guess the card, win the card with Logan and Malachi, because those two guys are awesome and they guess pretty
Yeah.
correctly at the moment, right?
Those two and Tommy are constantly in the back with my Joey, the kid who ships cards for me. They're constantly in the back quizzing each other. I mean, for hours. They will just talk about Magic cards. They do a game that we can't. I can't figure out how to make content out of this, but I want to figure it out. But they do a game where they start with they'll say like 2 mana red sorcery, and you have to say 2 mana red sorcery. You have to say one, and then the next one says one, and the first person to run out of cards is out. Like they do that for hours. I mean, it's absolutely like I think it's pathetic. I think it's like their knowledge of cards. It's like go do something else, but it's crazy. It's like
I,
absolutely insane.
I think that sounds fantastic, but it is insane. I know Magic the Gathering pretty well, but more or less the old cards up to a certain year, let's say up to the year 2000. So I'm often lost in those guesses. But yeah, I mean, if you have sometimes the question they ask, it's like, is it before 2014?
And
It's
like
like,
I'm
how
looking,
does that narrow it down?
I'm looking at the card, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I hear you struggling sometimes, but I think that's really awesome. I heard you talk about especially that format helping you grow the channel a lot yesterday during your live stream. I think it was, and even before that. But somebody asked like, "Hey, is it worth it to give away the card, and do you make the money back from the YouTube?" And you were like, "Yeah, it's not worth it, especially if you lose like what was it, Mana Vault or whatever." And then
Yeah.
on the other hand, it's definitely worth it. And I would trade all the revenue for just having that growth on the channel because of that format.
Yeah, I think I probably net money at the end of the day. I think I'm probably up. But really, I mean, the one that went viral, I got 9.5 or something like that. It's at 9.5 million
Crazy.
views. Somebody told me it's in the top 10 Magic the Gathering content on all of YouTube. I haven't done the research I don't know how you would hone in every single Magic the Gathering video, but um, that one alone, I mean, covered the cost of a lot of them. But more importantly, it's netted me like 8 to 9 thousand subscribers. So,
That's,
yeah, I mean,
that's
you get one or
yeah.
two of those a year, and it helps the channel grow immensely. And there are people now coming in from the Guess the Card, Win the Card who have started watching the daily content, who start
Yeah.
hopping on the live streams, and even if you get 2 or 3% of those people engaged on the channel, I think it's a big win.
I definitely agree. What works well with you or for you with the live streams? I see you do a lot of box openings, and I'm always, I consider myself a bit of a rambler as well. I like to talk, and I just sit down and talk about old Magic cards in my videos and just ramble on. But you're like the master. It's like 2 hour live stream, not a single break. Is it box openings you enjoy? Is it just looking at certain new sets? Is it yeah, the talks with your buddies?
Yeah, I mean, I think I like the idea. The channel. There's a lot of me talking to people, and when you go live, you get to see from the other side in real time. I get to hear people's questions and their opinions on things that I've said, and you get to have a little bit of a debate back and forth. And as a content creator, that's actually really healthy for me because I get to see what somebody wants to see. Like I can't tell you how many times I've been on a live stream, and then the next 2 or 3 days, I've made content based on what people have said on the live stream.
Hmm.
Get that feedback is just really good as a content creator. And then there's a whole other side of it for me financially, where I'm able to move packs, I'm able to move boxes.
Yeah.
Product doesn't necessarily move in my store. I mean, those double Master Omega packs, they've been sitting in my store for I don't know 2 years now. They're not going to move anytime soon. And so to hop on and somebody else wants them, and it's fun content, and it's good, and it's engaging, and it's a win kind of around the board as long as I have time to do it, which is the hardest part, is finding 2 or 3 hours when I don't want to spend time with my wife. I've already put the kids to bed and they're actually going to sleep on time, and I don't have something to do at the show. It's just navigating all those different elements of being a human.
Believe me, that part gets a little easier when they grow a little older. But
Yeah.
I remember those times. I think they are 5 and 2 now, something like that.
5 and 2, and so the 5 year
Yeah.
old, we're pretty well there. We're like, even if she comes and interrupts me on stream, who cares? It's like not that big of a deal. But the 2 year old's still she's in her terrible twos right now. She's a little confused, but
It gets easier. It gets easier. Do you even have time for your hobby now? And does the work in the LGS make your yeah? Does your hobby suffer because it is your job now? You probably get that question a lot as well.
yeah, and I think this is the biggest. I think this is the biggest red flag I would say to anybody who decides to open a store or is debating that. I think my hobby has certainly suffered. I think I played less Magic the Gathering. I'm certainly less excited about Magic the Gathering. Even the card games like Sorcery that I absolutely love. I feel
Yeah.
like as a consumer, I would be more excited than I am as a like business owner, because you see all you've seen how the sausage is made in some ways, right? Like you see the behind the scenes of distribution and the shenanigans and what you have to do to run that stuff. I think though, for me personally, I find so much more joy in the hobby of growing a business. There's an
Hmm.
entrepreneurial element to me that I've learned over the last 2 or 3 years that um, it used to really stress me out, especially early on in the channel, early on in the business, when it was kind of questionable. Was I going to be able to make this work? But now that I've gotten a routine and I've learned that, like, hey, when you lose money, it's okay. Like, it's okay to not win sometimes. Like, it just helps you. You can learn, you can grow from that, and you can accept it. And learning through that stuff, I've really been able to find a place where I really enjoy the the entrepreneurial side of the business, to a point where I rather have this than just be able to play games, than just to be able to show up at an LGS and play. So there's a sacrifice there, but it's a sacrifice that I think is calculated, that I still want it. There was definitely a time on the channel where I was debating just packing it all up, right? I mean, you've seen the back and forth on the channel with moving from Flesh and Blood to Magic the Gathering, and
Yep.
the drama that was that. And publicly people saw 3 to 5% of the drama. The behind the scenes was insane, and I don't want to get into that. But for me,
That's
it almost closed my channel. And me and my wife had conversations of like, hey, you got to either decide: are you going to move on from this, or are you going to allow this to close up shop and just call it what it was? It was a good 2 years that ended poorly. But we decided to run with it, and I think it's the best thing that's happened to me as a person and as a channel. But
I think it speaks for you as well, and for your attitude, and you probably hear that a lot. But like I said in the beginning, first thing you said when I asked, "Do you want to join?" was yes. But we see that, and I talk to other content creators as well. you're definitely a subject. And I mean, I've been talking to a lot of the smaller ones, and smaller ones are somewhere like between 1,500 and 5,000 subs. There's a small community, especially over here in Europe, but even with some from your US colleagues, and they are all referencing you for being super positive. And I think that showed during that time as well. And you, like you said, you don't want to get into it, but I saw it especially after it got a bit rough with Flesh and Blood. And I personally had my experience with that as well. I enjoyed the game, and at a certain point, I was a bit attacked by the community because I was a bit critical about some stuff. It doesn't mean I don't like the game. It doesn't mean I don't play the game, but the way they approached me pretty much had me stop making Flesh and Blood content at all, like the occasional one. But it just that wasn't what I'm here for. I mean, I
Right.
just want to talk about it. But you turned that around at that point, and I think you were around 7,000 subs. And then when you turned it around, sorcery I think helped. You
Yeah.
got back into magic a lot more. At least that's what I experienced. And like you said, it's a bit difficult to see from a distance. But then you passed those 10K and you were back on track again, and that positivity game came out again. Was that really the turning point?
Yeah, I think that was a turning point. And at the time, there's some behind the scenes things of the store, right? Like, the store was kind of a secondary thing to me when
Yeah.
Flesh and Blood and Kitchen Table TCG was the primary subject, and I mean my Patreon was paying for my salary and whatever. That was my primary focus. And then when everything hit the fan, I lost 65%. It was like taking a 65% pay cut when I lost the Flesh and Blood people and everything happened. And so I pivoted,
Crazy.
and I look at the channel and that pivot as Magic the Gathering was the focus, but really the store was the focus. And I kind of pivoted
Okay.
from a channel that talks about card games to a channel that talks about the store owning perspective, focus around Magic the Gathering. I don't get into Pokemon that much, but Magic the Gathering and then sorcery I think is a huge point too. I found
Yep.
a niche within the niche that I really love and I'm passionate about too. So Magic and sorcery are the two primary games on the channel that talks about owning a card store and enjoying that presence or that experience. So it's good, and that helped a ton. And then I mean the shorts, the when I learned that shorts are the key to growth on YouTube, I kind of tried to figure out something that worked with all those niches, the store owning and the magic, and the guess the card win the card kind of fit that niche perfectly, and it's just helped the channel grow a ton. But
I can imagine, and it's such a cool format. It's such a cool idea. I mean, it's
I stole it from a Yu-Gi-Oh creator. I think I've said that a couple
you
times.
did.
I was gonna stand
Hey,
up for one day.
we got a Dutch saying: "You better steal well than invent badly yourself." So that's totally fine.
Innovation is just forgetting who you forgot or forgetting who you stole from.
Yes, exactly. That's yeah, that's true. I try. I'm I tried shorts in the beginning before they got monetized, and it worked pretty well for me. And nobody did shorts then, so I was one of the few ones. And I just had a look at old Magic the Gathering cards, and I called it the most iconic Magic the Gathering cards of all time. And I got like 20, 30, 40 shorts up, so not a lot. But yeah, I tried to fit everything into 1 minute and all the info I wanted to do and whatever. It was really difficult for me to make. And now I'm just opening a pack a day, and yeah, those shorts sometimes get like 1,000 views, which is for my small channel really fine. And
Yeah.
they bring in subscribers, like you said. And if you I actually got that little thing that I open a sorcery pack every day in 2024. So at the end of the year, I want to open like maybe an alpha pack or whatever, because I don't have any anymore. I backed it on Kickstarter, but everything has been opened.
Yeah.
I only got a little bit of beta, but now I'm opening the beta, and I still have to hope that Arthurian Legends will come out on time so I can get my 365 shorts in there. But that's fun, and people seem to like it. And I try to find a good song every day, and yeah, that's how it goes. You have to think of something, right? And I think you're doing quite well. You have you have tried a lot of different things, and I enjoyed several of them. And this, especially the shorts, guess the card, win the card, are definitely a cool one.
Yeah.
Hey, do you see a trend nowadays? Because you talked about Magic the Gathering, you talked about sorcery. Do you see a trend going more towards the newer MTG stuff? And sorcery, of course, is a big thing as well, because strangely enough, where there seems to be a trend towards newer MTG stuff, sorcery actually profits from that vintage feeling. At least for me, as an old school MTG player, it's, yeah, sorcery just hits that nerve. I don't know. I haven't opened that many boxes since I think the mid 2000s, when I opened like Future Sight or whatever. So, uh, do you see a strong trend towards the new stuff, and vintage Magic is a bit, yeah, outdated, or is it still a thing?
It's weird. I think it's less than. I don't think vintage Magic is struggling. I think it struggled with Magic 30, right? Like the Magic 30
Yeah,
thing crashed everything, blah blah blah. 6 months later, I think things started rebounding, and I think now we're a full year and a couple months after. I think vintage Magic is right, kind of at a almost a plateau where it is, right? I think Magic, though, despite what everybody wants to say, Magic is killing it in terms of new products and new sets and engaging new people into the hobby. And they're doing a really good job at it. I mean, the Universes Beyond, I don't like it. I do not want to play Frodo versus Iron Man. That does not seem fun to me. It makes me angry in my heart, but I'm just an old guy. The newer Magic players see that stuff, they love it, they're excited for it, and it brings them in the door, and it helps the communities grow. And I think the Marvel set will be our number one selling set ever. I think we will
yeah,
have more new Magic the Gathering players because of the Marvel set than any other set, and I think that is a net positive. I think the biggest thing, the biggest industry change in the last 2 or 3 years is more and more people are accepting these other games. So you have more and more people who are looking at Sorcery as a second card game, or Lorcana, or the new Star Wars game as a second card game, and they
yeah.
still play Magic. They still enjoy Magic, but they're dabbling in other things for a while, and so I think that's the biggest kind of question mark for a lot of these games is, can Sorcery hold the attention? Can Star Wars, can Lorcana hold the attention of those consumers who will always have Magic to go back to? Magic's not going anywhere, right? You will always be able to walk into an LGS and play Magic the Gathering. Um, and so, as far as it goes, I mean, I think across the board, vintage is going to be okay. I
Mhm.
don't see a ton of people who come into Magic and get excited about getting vintage cards, though. That's the big question mark.
But do you see, not getting excited, but do you see the nostalgia is still there? Because if I look at my kids, for example, I told my son during the pandemic, and we play here and there, and of course he prefers video games. Fortnite has
Yeah.
captured his attention span more easily than on a half an hour card game. But he's up. Yeah, he's not up, but he's up there now playing in his room. But he's down for a match here and there. But he still knows what a Black Lotus is. Do the younger players in your store know what a Black Lotus is as well, or don't they just don't care? Or?
I think they know what a Black Lotus is. I don't think they could tell me the Power Nine. I don't think that
Yeah.
they could. They probably don't know the names of all 10. I think the average Magic player doesn't know the names of all 10 dual lands.
Hmm.
Which is now, I do think as you get ingrained, you start seeing the power level of those cards. So I think of Tommy, right? Who he played modern. He's not old. He's not young. He's like 23, something like that. So he's not really like a younger player. He's a younger player, but he's not like super young.
To
But
to be, it's a younger player.
but with him, he has learned over the last 4 or 5 years of playing Magic. Oh my gosh, the Moxes are incredibly powerful. It would be really fun to play Legacy and see the power of those cards. Or,
Yeah.
man, I've played Commander and I feel like my Commander decks are falling behind because now people are adding dual lands, and I see the power level of a dual land in a Commander deck, or a Guy's
Yeah.
Cradle or something like that. And so
Yeah.
then they start. So it's not nostalgia; it's just the power level of the cards that forces them to want to pick them up and that kind of thing. Um,
I get it.
and there's a element of value too, right? So like, what did you pay for your Gaia's Cradle?
Me personally,
Yeah.
I don't have one.
Okay.
But to answer or to actually roll with that example, I paid like $50 for my time walk.
Yeah. Yeah. So
In '95, like something like that. Yeah,
right, and I just bought a collection of a guy. I just paid a guy. It was a $70,000 collection. He paid $12 for the dual lands. He had
yeah.
70. He had 70 dual lands in the collection. He paid $12 a piece for them.
But that's what we back in the day actually used as collateral. If yeah, I went to a convention and I had one mox and I traded that mox and a couple of duels because I had a stack like this. Um, Kids in school, they didn't recognize the value of duels, so they traded it for big creatures. Like Force of Nature was a thing back then. So you got like 3 4 lands which are not worth anything for Force of Nature,
Right.
and then you traded a mox and a couple of duels, maybe 6 7 duels for 2 lesser moxes, and then those 2 lesser moxes I traded for Lotus, and that's how it went. So at the end of the day, I somehow, with a couple of duels and one mox, ended up with a Lotus and 3 moxes. That was,
Right.
I think, my best trading day ever. But that was in '95 because nobody cared. So I can imagine $12 for a duel. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the price back then.
And now you have Tommy, who he wants those cards, but he can't afford them. He can't afford to pay $2,000 for a time walk. He has to
Yeah.
work towards that or save up his. And I think this generation of Magic player will eventually build the collection base to be able to move into some of those things eventually, but it takes time and whatever. So I think the health of vintage is fine. Um, I think there's probably safer places to put your money in terms of investment. But if you're going to be playing with those cards anyway, I think it's a fine place to put your money.
Yeah, I personally don't see it as an investment anyway. If my cards go to zero, they go to zero. And what I still need, I actually only need to maybe complete my unlimited set, which I'm working on. Had a good basis, of course, so it's possible. And I completed my antiquity set like end of 2022, and I also had a good basis for that. So yeah, it's to fill out sets, and if I have to pay a little more for a more expensive card, then it's okay. But
Yeah.
I'm at a point in my life where I can do that, and family first. But then the hobby is definitely something I spend money on.
Now,
But in the end, yeah,
set collecting is interesting because
yeah,
I don't. Most of the people I know who set collect are like over 40, 45. Like I don't know
yeah.
any younger generation people who care at all. Like I just
But
had a
you completed your foil sorcery alpha.
Yeah, so like I think the newer card games, that's like actually a thing where people care about completing the set across the board. I mean, I'm seeing Lorcana players who want to complete,
Yeah,
full
I saw that
Lorcana.
as well. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm seeing Star Wars players who want to complete a full Star Wars set. Sorcery players are doing, a full play set, and then you got the collectors obviously trying to do alpha sets and alpha foil sets. I think there's an element to a new card game that brings people's excitement, but also these new card games don't have 5,000 variants in
yes.
every set. I mean, Magic I think it's literally impossible to do a master set of a Magic set. I mean, it would be
I
absolutely ludicrous.
I had a look at Kaltheim because the theme yeah, really appealed to me, like Viking stuff and so ever. And we just had been to Norway last year with the family and did a road trip there. It was awesome. So Kaltheim came out. I was like, yeah, I want that set. I think it's more than 1,200 cards with all the variants. So I
Insane.
thought, like, yeah, fuck it. I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
I mean, that's crazy. But I mean, vintage is fine, I think, as well. But of course, it's not a good investment, and I don't see it as an investment. But you got a Black Lotus back in the day.
I did.
I have to hit the right question, because sometimes it actually works that the questions I prepared are part of the conversation. So that's good. No, but are you happy with your Lotus? I think it was awesome that you got it. But you're obviously younger, a lot younger than I am. But you still wanted that card, right?
Yeah, I mean, I started playing Magic in 2010, and so I'm still not, I've only fit 14 years of playing, but very quickly, I've always been a collector. When I was a kid, I collected Pokemon cards, and dude, like I have there's like a thing in my body that likes collecting things, and
Hey,
so
you know who you're talking to. So yeah, it's crazy. My wife always says like, yeah, you have to confine it to this room. As long as it's in here and not in the rest of the house, it's okay. Everything else is not okay.
yeah, yeah. I was my wife was like that until I started the business, and I was like, hey, I
Yeah,
gotta have this room to. It's for the business, you know. It's like,
yeah.
you got. Um,
You expanded from a man cave to a man wing.
yeah, yeah. Uh, I don't know when I heard about the Black Lotus for the first time, after 6 months, a year playing the game, I was like, oh my gosh, I could never afford that. I mean, I was like, there's no shot ever in my life I will be able to buy that card. I remember being like, I'm never gonna pay more than $1 for a card. That's silly, right? Um, and just through the drama of Flesh and Blood, and through the seeing, I was really big in that, and I had a large value of collection, and through the ashes of that, I decided to make a goal for myself to do one of two things: either a first edition Charizard or a Black Lotus.
Yeah,
And I work really well with goals for my life. It just works really well to say, hey, boom, that's my goal for right now, and everything in my life moves towards that. And I had the business goals, I had the channel goals, and I needed a goal for myself personally.
yeah.
And so I got the first edition Charizard the year after Flesh and Blood stuff happened. I actually traded a bunch of cold foil Flesh and Blood cards at a
Perfect.
convention for the first edition Charizard, which was super cool.
That
Um,
was awesome.
and then I was able to set my goal of getting the Charizard, and so for me it was way less an investment thing and more a can I accomplish it. I said
Yeah,
14 years ago I couldn't do it, and now I'm learning in my life that if I push myself and drive myself to do things, I can accomplish them. So here's a big goal. So yeah, I got an unlimited Lotus. It's a BGS 8. So I'm happy to have it in a slab. I can tell people it's real, and it's safe, and you
you're
know,
happy with it.
very, very, yeah,
Yeah, I like that kind of personal motivation.
yeah,
Focus is a thing I talk about a lot on the channel, especially if you want to get some of the more expensive cards. And sometimes it takes me like half a year to get like an unlimited dual land for $600 because yeah, priorities. I mean, you know it. It's life, it's family. That's the priority you should have. And sometimes you can buy a box, and sometimes you can buy a card that is a little more expensive. But that focus that helps you keep going, especially if it's towards a certain goal. So I can very much relate to that. I like that. Do you think if you're looking at newer Magic, and we talked about the old cards, and not necessarily as an investment, but value is definitely there and value is holding. Do you think we should actually like expand the reserve list, for example, to have the newer players get like?
yeah.
What, how awesome would it be that they say Jeweled Lotus will never be reprinted again, and the people who have it actually have a good card in their commander deck that will go up in value and retain value? Or do you think that's a stupid
Yeah.
idea?
I don't think it's a stupid idea. I don't think I'm on the side of that idea. I think I understand the points from both sides. I tend to think that uh, old vintage Magic should be respected, and the reserve list should be respected because that's the history of the game. I don't frankly though. I don't frankly believe that if you were to reprint Black Lotus, that the value of Black Lotus would go down. Um, I think the current value of an unlimited Black Lotus would stay pretty much the same that it is. I think where you get into like the deteriorating price point would be commander staples, so your Gaia's Cradles,
Yeah.
your dual lands, that kind of stuff. I think would erode in value. As far as adding to the reserve list, I think that they're I think that Wizards is innately more. That's the wrong word. I think they are way more aware of the value of cards than we give them credit for. So
Oh,
whether or not you add Jeweled Lotus to the to the reserve list, I don't think matters because I think they know that they want that card to be expensive so that they can put it
yes,
into more expensive
true.
boxes in the future. Um,
No, they need to sell boxes. I had that discussion a lot, and I was around when Like they reprinted all the stuff with the Renaissance cards and so on. And my Elder Dragons were I bought them like a week before really the Legends ones, and it was like $50 at the time for like two of them or whatever. I was really happy with them, and then they got reprinted. So at that moment, it was really devastating for the collectors to see those old Arabian Nights, Legends, even the Dark cards show up with white borders and Chronicles, Renaissance, whatever, how you want to call it. Um, I would have stopped then, along with many, many others, if they wouldn't have made that reserved as promise. So for me, it's more like a promise. That 30th anniversary edition, I know it's not a real Lotus, but to me, it feels like one. So yeah, and you saw the reaction. I mean, and for adding to the reserve list, I know exactly what you mean. I think they have economists in place and in their ranks, and those know exactly how to keep up the value. So in the end, they need to sell those boxes. Everybody can say, "Hey, just buy singles," but if nobody opens those boxes because there's no value in there, nobody will be able to buy singles because the boxes are not opened. And stores, they won't open the boxes neither, because that's what they normally say. Yeah, but stores will open them to sell singles. But if you have a box, you maybe have to buy for like, yeah, what is it now?
The,
$110 for like one of the play booster thingies.
my it's a little more than that too. It's about two, $3
Wow.
more than that. It's crazy.
It's really crazy. Just a quick one. I remember I used to work for the Dutch distributor for board games, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and I did all the organized play and tournaments back from 2004 to 2008. It was good fun. Was a crazy time. Everything was possible. We had like a buying price as a distributor, I think, for 42
Jeez.
euros for a box. So, and I think if you bought a case of six, yeah, it was like $220 or something.
That's
So
insane.
that's that. But that's how times change within 15 years, 20 years.
And the internet has really changed the whole dynamics of all that stuff, where you're just constantly competing with people for prices now. I mean,
Yeah,
in the past, right? 10 years ago, I guess 15 years ago, you competed with your other local stores. That was the competition. Now you have thousands of stores online just fighting for the bottom. So it shows the
yeah,
age of what Magic the Gathering is in terms of a system,
yeah,
uh, and that's hard. That because you can't get away from that, right? You can't make the internet go away, and you can't really adapt the business model of Magic the Gathering from a store perspective, like from a them creating a physical product perspective into the internet. So you just kind of deal with it. Um,
Do you think they made a big mistake moving towards Amazon and so on? Like, yeah, hurting,
that
actively hurting the LGSs?
I think that side of it's a huge mistake. I think that they and Pokemon was doing this for a while now. Even Pokemon started being on the other side of it. But I think if they want to, I think getting rid of MSRP was the biggest mistake they ever
Yeah,
made. I think if they want to sell at MSRP on Amazon, I think that would be perfect. I think that would be really
yeah,
good. It would set the standard. You sell at MSRP on Amazon, and then the rest of us fight to our prices. But I mean, frankly, you've already got stores. You saw the podcast, the Banana Stand, on our podcast a couple weeks ago. You've already got stores who are going to fight the way to the bottom all the way to make the least amount of money possible, so that they can increase their spend for things like Modern Horizons 3, or the next set that they're excited about, that they want to go hard on. And that's the that's just part of the distribution issue of TCGs right now. Again, I don't know the solution, but I know that it's a problem. So.
and on the other hand, what do you think about the sorcery approach? Not only like one set a year, but also, for example, Europe was a disaster. We literally almost could not get any boxes, and now they are reprinting beta, and it's showing up in Singapore and whatever, and the print looks different, but still nothing over here in Europe. Do you think that approach is? I like the Kickstarter approach because I could just get it as much as I wanted to, and I could just get in. I know they need to get into stores, and I know they need to start up the play, and they were focusing very much on that. At least for me, as a sorcery, I play it and I like it. like you said, it's like a second game, and I have
Mm.
tried many different games over the years just because I enjoy them. And when you said Marvel, I remember even the Versus system, which Upper
Yeah.
Deck brought out. It was fantastic with the two rows and the flyers in the back, and that actually was pushed very hard, but it failed. But once Magic the Gathering will do it, I totally agree it will go crazy. But back to sorcery, do you think they did a good job there with the retailers, even though they did not go to like online retailers and so on. But yeah, in the US, I think the distribution model with Team Covenant was a bit weird as well.
Yeah, I think the sorcery team has one major problem in that their team is so small. I mean, six. I think their team is like 6 to 7 people, which makes it really
Yeah,
hard to figure out how to
yeah,
do this. I think they did with their team. They did the best I think that they could,
true.
and the extreme demand. I mean, it's really hard to figure out
It's
the
crazy.
demand of a card game like that. Because if you, I mean, all it takes is 20% overprinting or
Yeah,
20% oversupply, and it washes the entire market out. And so
exactly.
I would prefer them to shoot on the lower quantity side and underprint. But I mean, I'm in the USA, so maybe I don't get to feel that as much as somebody in Europe or the European countries.
Don't get me wrong. I'm a strong supporter of printing less. When they asked of
Yeah,
us, what do you think? How many boxes should we print or whatever? Or when the discussion started among content creators, I know the alpha print run is 29,000 boxes. We calculated that even on the channel back then when I backed the Kickstarter, and we looked at the people who backed it. I said 50 to 60,000, like twice the alpha amount would be perfect. And then the distribution, it's bad luck and it's shitty over here in Europe that we don't get any boxes and that Team Covenant wasn't sold out for half a year. But I am strongly against overprinting because it kills the game, in
yeah.
my opinion. Yeah.
I think the Team Covenant thing is interesting because we don't really know the details behind it. Maybe Team Covenant ordered that many boxes and they were just smart about it and they had the capital to do that. I know that even as a retailer, I got cut on the boxes that I asked for at the distribution level.
Yeah.
That's all. And this is the problem for U.S. stores. Everything's connected to your spend on another game. So like your sorcery allocations could have, I don't know what they used, but they could have been connected to your overall spend on Magic the Gathering. So even
Yeah.
if you are a person or an individual who wants to go really heavy on something, you don't have that freedom. Whereas maybe Team Covenant, with the relationship they have with sorcery, they had that freedom to get more boxes. And this is one of the issues with the distribution model. I think in Europe, one of the things, another additional fact that you have, there's simply less LGSs. I mean,
Yep.
I'm only assuming. I've never really
Oh,
looked into it, but
there are less. You have around 3,000, I guess.
I don't know the numbers. I know, like in my small little tiny town of Hurricane, West Virginia, there are 4 LGSs. Like
Yeah.
there are three too many LGSs in our town. You don't need.
Yeah, give it another 2 years, and those other guys will be run out of business by you. No, but it's less LGSs over here, definitely. If you look at the Netherlands, you maybe have like four big ones in the whole country. But in general, the now you have a lot more LGSs, of course, but really small ones. Maybe let's say back in the day we had about 30, 40, and I think it's less now, which we deliver to as the distributor. But it's also the whole distribution setup. Every country is different. You got the European Union, in which it is a little easier, but even if you look at the UK, if you look at everything outside the European Union, and that even includes countries like Switzerland who are not part of it, then it already gets difficult with customs and extra fees, and it's crazy. Every country has a little has a system that's a little different to the other countries. So if you have a big distributor, I think ours over here is Blackfire, then who has experience with that, it's okay. But I don't think they believed in the game. And I talked to a couple of LGSs, and they told me like, yeah, I wanted more boxes, and I asked for it, but they said like, yeah, it's a bit. We had like a window of a week of pre-ordering, and I think that goes for the distributor as well, because they base their pre-orders on. Yeah, it just was done very well. But that's okay. I mean, it is what it is.
The logistics behind that kind of makes sense that, in the US, right, if a distributor over orders on things, there's so many relationships, right? You can reach out to a big game store to say, hey, I'll hook you up on Modern Horizons 3 if you will take this palette of, failed card game XYZ that you'd have to, then take a little bit of a loss on TCG Play or whatever you have to do as a store to move it. Whereas in Europe, you just don't have that. There's just not the scale of card stores, and it just makes it difficult. So
You
I,
even sometimes have a language problem because Magic the Gathering, for example, prints in different languages. But if Germany has an overstock, nobody in the Netherlands cares because we want English product. That's what we do here. We don't dub on TV. We don't, or the French people, yeah, they only buy French product because they don't really speak English well.
right, and
Generalization to all my French viewers, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
I think that's where I would say for an indie TCG like Sorcery, I think there's an element of trying to invest in some form of distribution yourself to get that
Hmm?
product. For the Kickstarter, they had all the different, the distribution hubs, like maybe leaning into something like that rather than
No.
utilizing. You do an open order for stores, all that money goes directly to Sorcery. You have it be fulfilled via the different, but I don't know the logistics behind that. I'm just a
I
guy
think.
in West Virginia, so there may be
Oh,
other plans. That's all.
hey, it seems like you know your way around pretty well. So don't make it less educated than it is, because you are pretty spot on there. I
Yeah.
think they're even talking about it, and I think they talked about it openly. And I have to be a bit careful because I talked to them a few times recently, and they said some stuff off record. We're organizing a tournament over in Germany, and we're hoping to get as many European people over there. And there is not a single store that still has product, and we still have some. There's a store in Germany that imported product, and we're doing a sealed tournament there at on 1st of June. And people from the Netherlands, Belgium, Denmark, Austria, France, even one guy from Spain signed up. And Europe is a bit more difficult to get around. I mean, US is huge, but it's everybody's used to the distance. Over here, like Italy is like 20 hours away when you drive, so it's kind of tricky. So even people from there are coming,
Wow,
and
that's awesome.
so we yeah, that's awesome. I hope it will be a lot of fun. But to come back to the point, we talked to the sorcery guys a lot about that, and they told us some other stuff as well. So I don't want to spoil anything I'm not able or shouldn't spoil. But I think there was talk about the distribution solution for Europe that will be better. Have you seen anything about Arthurian Legends yet, or nothing?
No, I mean I've seen the stuff that's public. I mean everybody keeps asking me, Louis, what's the store? I mean we have no info from stores. We have zero. The distribution I ask every single week. They have no information, which is normal. I mean I think we'll probably, I would guess we'll see like an October release, that kind of thing. So I think you're
That's
looking.
what they say. Beginning of October is what they're aiming for. But yeah, they aimed for a lot of stuff recently. So
I would think July, maybe we get some details and have an open order in terms of
yeah,
distribution. I know for me, like there's no number of boxes I don't think that I wouldn't order. Like I think that the set is going to be really cool to draft. I want to make sure I have plenty of boxes to do like the limited play. I'm gonna really lean into that at my store because we draft Magic every week. So I
yeah.
think there's a really good onboarding for players who you don't have to buy anything. Just it plays like Magic. It plays very similar to Magic. Let's draft it. You love drafting. Let's draft it and figure out. So I'm really excited from a store owning perspective, and then obviously on the channel and the reach I have. I think people are going to be excited to see what we have coming out for bundles and that kind of thing. But
So you're not opening close to 100 boxes again.
oh, I am. I'm going to do a stream. Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah. So we're going to do a stream. We've got some things in the works. I want to do a 100 box stream.
Oh no, really? Awesome.
We open. It'll depend on how many boxes we can get, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want to do some singles anyway for it, just because it's part of our DNA as a business to do singles. So I think it would be way more fun if I'm hanging out with everybody on Tuesday, Wednesday, cracking open packs, and we're gonna have a release party on Friday at the store. We'll draft, and then I think on Saturday we're also going to do some sort of event. So I'm hoping people can come to West Virginia and hang out and enjoy it. But we'll see.
I think 24-hour live stream, 4 boxes every hour. That would be what you should be aiming for.
I'm for it. I am all for it. I have a
Hey,
question.
if you pull that off, I will look at the date and I might just fly over and yeah, enjoy a short holiday, but just to experience that life. That would be really fucking awesome.
Yeah, yeah, we could get George in. We could have a blast. I think it would be so much fun.
Oh, I totally agree. 100 boxes, crazy. Yeah, I think at the moment I opened around 10 beta and like 6 to 8 alpha, but 100. I still enjoyed those openings, especially because you were looking for the foils and certain foils you didn't have yet. So that was really like a factor for me. Like, hey, I hope he gets that foil. And yeah, the thing with the Philosopher Stone that you are not a sorcery content creator until you open the foil Philosopher Stone. I love that. I actually stole that from you as well, and I only opened the beta foil Philosopher Stone, which is in my collection now. But I said like, yes, now I'm a sorcery content creator because I opened the foil Philosopher Stone. That was really awesome. Hey, I don't want to keep you too long, man, but I got a last question.
Sure.
What the fuck is up with that sorting machine?
I don't know. I don't know, man. It's working right now. It is what
Doesn't it? Doesn't the first thing as a collector is doesn't it damage cards? I
no,
mean,
no,
it's still not at all.
nope. I
Okay,
this is I have put pack fresh, magic cards in there. It does not. It does zero
okay, cool.
damage to the cards. I I love and hate that thing with a passion. It is such a cool idea to be able to say, "Hey, yeah, here's my." You know how many times people come in, they have a collection and it's in a binder, and then they have like a stack of cards, and they're like, "I don't think there's anything in here." Right? They
Yeah.
have no clue. Like they have no clue that common or uncommon from 5 years ago has shot up to 7, $8, whatever. And so it's really cool to be able to say, yeah, sure, give us a day, and we take all the cards and we put it through the sorter, and it pulls a stack of cards where they they thought their value of their cards was, let's say, $300, and instead we get to tell them, no, your value of the cards $375 because we found an additional $75 in your bulk. And that, from a
Okay.
business perspective, is really cool because we get to tell the customer, hey, we added value to your collection that you didn't know about. That's a really big win. That's a big incentive. The negative side of it, obviously, is the thing freaking breaks all the time. I'm basically an expert in robotics now of fixing this stupid thing. It drives me nuts.
It
Um,
should save you time, not cost you time, man.
no, yeah, it definitely has not done that.
Uh,
But it is what it is right now.
no, I thought it was a bit funny that you went really heavy on it and all the videos, and I was like, yeah, and for that kind of money and the time you put in there, you could hire an extra guy to just sort out the cards, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's an element of it that's cool. I don't know. I still love it.
I,
I'm
don't get me wrong. It was very entertaining, and I think it's a very cool thing to have such a big machine sorting your cards. In the end, yeah, in the long run, it probably will turn out as a cool move.
yeah.
But in the beginning, I was like a bit skeptical. Just no offense, just
No,
just
no,
honest.
man, I get it. I'm on board. I just like cool toys too. Like I'm just like one of those people that
True.
like something to toy around with and have fun with. Life is too short to not be overly complex with too many things going on. But
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Ah, yes. Hey, I think we're at about 52 minutes. I think yeah, we should leave it at this. I really had a great time chatting to you. It was good fun.
it's a blast.
I when I watch your videos, I of course have a certain perception of somebody and of you, and yeah, you definitely lived up to that expectation. So a cool guy, just having fun, motivated, and yeah, trying to create cool stuff and enjoy the whole process around it. So I like that.
Doing my best. And hey, good luck on your channel, and hopefully we can come back again. And listen, if you're ever in the States, come visit. We'll play some sorcery. We'll hang out and have a good time. So
That sounds like a great plan. I normally am over there like 2-3 times a year for business with the gaming industry. But since the E3 in LA is not happening anymore, I can combine it with trips, and I sometimes am at the GDC, the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco, like beginning of the year. But yeah, those trips are getting rarer and rarer since Corona, unfortunately. But I definitely always try to visit, and yeah, maybe we can figure out something at a convention like Magic the Gathering thing where you are at as well. It would be fun, and we might do this again. It definitely was a blast.
Yeah.
What I always say at the end is stay healthy, stay frosty, and that goes to you and the viewers. And yeah, I hope to talk to you next time.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man. Thanks.